Ada for refusing to pay my sister's wedding expenses after she called my child a mistake. So, I'm Deanna F. 32, the oldest of 5 siblings, and somehow ended up as the family's caretaker for what feels like forever. I helped our parents until they passed, and honestly, it's been exhausting. Dad passed away from brain cancer 3 years ago, which was brutal to watch, and Mom left us peacefully earlier this year after a long fight with breast cancer. Fought cancer, right? Being the eldest, I sort of naturally stepped into the parent role. I don't mind, though, because I love my siblings, and I've always been that big sister type, always the one people turn to. I'm like the family's therapist and financial support system. I work in tech, do some art on the side, and thanks to an inheritance from my parents, I'm financially secure so it's not a burden. A few years back, I adopted my cousin's daughter, Decorum 45, who I call my heart because she's my everything. My cousin is in prison after a drug and alcohol-fueled incident that ended in tragedy. Long story, so I took in Decker. She was 5 then, and after a year of mourning, legal battles, and paperwork, the adoption became official. Now, at 13, she's thriving. She's been in therapy since day one, and I couldn't be prouder of her resilience. She's my girl, my rock, my heart. Fast forward to my sister Clara's F30 upcoming wedding. At first, I was over the moon for her when she asked me to be her maid of honor. I even cried happy tears and offered for my wife, Honey, because we're obsessed with The Incredibles lol, and I to cover the wedding costs. And yes, I asked Honey first, but things took a turn during the bachelorette dinner I set up. Out of nowhere, Clara made a really hurtful comment about my daughter, Decker. She called her a mistake and said I shouldn't have taken her in. I just stared at her, completely shocked, and asked what she meant. She doubled down, saying it wasn't like I was even supposed to have kids since I'm married to another woman. Then she threw in a casual, no hate or anything, with a laugh and added that Decker's probably damaged and a handful. Let me tell you, Decker is the sweetest kid on this planet. Sure, she's a teenager, so yeah, she has her moments, but she's my entire heart. She's the one who made us a family, who turned our house into a home. She's got this incredible smile, and she's not afraid to show her emotions. She's got more emotional intelligence than I ever did at her age, always asking, "How are you doing?" and really meaning it. And Clara thinks she's a damaged mistake. Absolutely not. I felt like I was trapped in some dark, twisted episode of a sci-fi show. Defending my choice to adopt was like fighting the Borg, refusing to just assimilate. I couldn't believe what my sister had said, so I didn't laugh it off with her and her friends. I just stared at her, completely stunned. She must have realized how much she hurt me because she quickly changed the subject. I made an excuse to leave, paid for everything, including 3 more rounds, and went home to my family. The next day, my sister came over furious, accusing me of cutting them off after those drinks and ruining the entire weekend because I can't take a joke. Honey, who I'd already told everything, asked my sister to repeat exactly what she'd said about our daughter. But my sister wouldn't. She just kept referring to Decker as Charlie's child, which nearly broke me. I was holding back tears the entire time. That's when I told her I wouldn't be contributing a single penny to her wedding. I'd continue helping her with rent until she moved in with her husband, but I refused to pay for or be part of a wedding where my child is seen as a mistake. Honestly, I was ready to go full Jedi and completely cut ties, but Honey helped me stay calm. My sister, on the other hand, totally lost it. She threw the can of soda water we gave her at me and screamed, "How am I supposed to pay for this?" I just said, "You've got over a year, you can save up." She stormed off, shoving Honey in the process, and then blew up our sibling group chat. Now, my other siblings are split. Some think I'm overreacting by cutting off the wedding funds, while others agree that my sister crossed a line and needed this wake-up call. The thing is, I feel bad for my sister. I do love her, and I can tell she's really upset about this. But no matter what, I can't shake the feeling that standing up for my daughter is more important. So, Ada for refusing to pay for her wedding after all this. Also, just adding this, I'm currently working on a project at a local brewery, and I've been silently sobbing while reading through the comments. Wow, so many comments. I was trying to reply to everyone, but honestly, I just ran out of energy. I sent this post to my wife, and now we're gearing up to talk to Decker tonight. We're planning to ask her if her aunt has ever said or done anything cruel to or about her. I'm really hoping she's just confused by our questions and stays blissfully unaware of this whole mess. I love my heart so much. I want her to stay the bright, fun, loving, and encouraging person she is. The last thing I want is for her to know anything about what her aunt said. I did text my sister, asking if she really meant all that, if she truly sees me, my wife, and our daughter that way, or if she was just drunk and said something stupid and doubled down out of embarrassment. Either way, I don't want her anywhere near Decca for a while. I feel so lost right now. I never planned on being a parent, and there's no fucking manual for this. Seriously, what the hell am I supposed to do? Wish me luck for tonight. I'm really going to need it, because if Decca tells us her aunt has been cruel to her face, I'm going to have to hold my wife back from swinging on my sister. Update, 2 days later. I'm going to try and keep this short. Honey and I took Decca to the local Oktoberfest, and she had an absolute blast. She did crafts, danced to the music, had beer, definitely not beer in a pint glass, and just enjoyed herself all around. On the drive home, my wife finally brought up the conversation we've been dreading. We started by asking how she felt about Grandma's passing, and then talked about how people handle things differently. We asked if Mama Me or Mommy Honey had ever been hurtful to her, and she mentioned a few times we'd been snappy or wouldn't let her do things like a 2M party. For example, no. But other than that, nothing serious. Then we asked about Clara, and she got really quiet. Honey gave me a look, but since I was driving, I just said, "You know you can tell us anything," goober, trying to keep it light. But she clammed up and didn't say anything else. I got my girls home, hugged my heart Decca, and then went to the den to decompress. About 2 hours later, my wife came downstairs and told me Decca was in bed but not asleep, and that I should talk to her. I asked why, and she simply said, "Decca's ready to talk about it." So I headed upstairs. When I got there, Decca was in her PJs, ready for bed, reading. I sat on the edge of her bed and gently asked her how she was doing. She just looked up and said, "Mom told you, huh?" I told her I didn't know anything yet. That's when Decca opened up. She said Clara made her uncomfortable and had said some really hurtful things. When my wife and I weren't around, Clara would call her the lost puppy or the stray. Decca even remembers Clara telling her to her face, "You're not real family," and that once Honey and I get a real child, we'd get rid of her. I can't even begin to describe the rage that washed over me. The absolute blinding red I saw as my daughter broke down, telling me that she tries so hard to behave perfectly and obsesses over her grades just to prove she's worth loving, worth keeping. After calling my wife, we sat Decca down and told her she's the best thing that ever happened to us. We told her that even if we do have more children, she will always be our firstborn and our love. I held her close, crying, and told her she is my whole heart, and nothing will ever change that. She saved us, and I am so proud of her, of us, and of everything we've become together. I can't stop loving her, and neither can her mom. We love her more than air, and that's never going to change. Then I explained that her aunt was wrong. Clara is jealous of how much we love Decca. Auntie has her own issues, but it's not something we can fix, so she won't be around for a while. Decca asked us to stop talking to her like she was a kid, so I leveled with her. She's my sister, and I love her, but you're my daughter, and I love you more. I told her Clara was wrong and hurtful, and I apologized that she didn't feel she could come to us about it sooner. But she can, always. We will choose her, every time, no matter what. Decca then asked if it was her fault that I hate Clara. I explained that hate is a choice, and I don't hate my sister. I do love her, but sometimes loving someone means holding them accountable. Actions have consequences. My daughter went quiet and handed me her phone. Clara had been texting her awful things since she left my house. I can't even bring myself to type them out because I want to throw something. But the one that made me see red was my sister texting my teenage daughter. "Go tell your so-called mom like a snitch and prove me right." I took a screenshot and sent it to myself. Decca fell asleep around midnight, and my wife and I finally went to bed. But before I did, I texted my sister the screenshot along with this message. "You come into my home as my sister and treat my child like this? No, Mom and Dad would be ashamed of you. This is not how you treat any child, let alone your own niece. I've loved you for as long as I can remember, and I know this isn't how we were raised. But from this moment on, you are not welcome in my home. You will not speak to or contact me, my wife, or my child. Clara, I'll give you the money for October, but from November on, that's your responsibility. I can't help anymore. I'm really sorry about this. It breaks my heart. But you crossed a serious and unforgivable line. Decca is my daughter, and I am her mom. Don't doubt that. I want to be clear. If you ever come at my family like that again or contact my daughter at all, I will take legal action. From now on, we're going low contact. If you try to make this into a bigger issue, it will become no contact. If you don't understand, I'm giving you resources to help clarify things. I love you, D.